plugged in. Actually, I don't see it, but whatever. Okay, I'm gonna get Glenn in here, Canadian Glenn, and then we'll get started. So take a dab, smoke a bowl, do something. We'll be on in a minute. Um, yeah, it's gonna take me a second to invite Glenn. Almost there. This invite thing needs to get a little bit better, I think. Add no. I'm inviting a co-host. It's not letting me do it. So yeah, give me a second. Sometimes this spaces takes a few minutes, which sucks because we have to be live while we get set up. Maybe I can invite him now. I think I can. I think I did it. Now I'm taking a dab. So yeah, y'all, my PayPal just contacted me and said I was guilty of bullying and hate speech, promotion of hate speech and bullying because some of the shirts I sell say ACAB on them. So that's pretty much bullshit. So I'm gonna work it out and probably take them off and then just not
Can't be
deal with.
hating on the cops.
Oh, there you
That's
are.
not allowed.
They're a protected class of people. They were born with that piggy badge on, evidently, Glenn. So yeah, that's the whole issue I got to deal with because it shut down my PayPal basically for everything. I'm pretty sure one of these little pig lovers reported it or something. Bootlickers, snowflakes. You still there? Because you just sound like you dropped out. Oh, we might have lost Glenn, y'all. Oh, that sucks. Glenn. Maybe I need to re-invite him. I don't know. No, it looks like you're in here when I look. Oh, there you
Yo,
are. Okay. I see you.
if you can
I
hear
can hear
me,
you. Can you hear me?
your mic is fucked.
Glenn, are you there? Glenn, Glenn, Glenn. Let me unplug the mic. You know, Glenn. So yeah, we got kind of bad connection going on here. I don't know what's going on. Um, I see Glenn talking, but I don't hear him. Glenn, I hear you.
Okay,
Are
try
you
your
there?
mic.
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, but your mic ain't working too well.
Could you hear me at first? Because I didn't do anything.
No, I've basically heard you say about 5 words the entire time. That's
Oh
it.
wow. I don't know what to do.
Well, for now it seems to be working,
Okay. Yeah, I think it goes in and out sometimes.
and I can hear my echo.
You
But hey, whatever.
hmm, the problems with Twitter Spaces now. So anyway, um, what are we even talking about today? I'm gonna look right now. I've been dealing with this PayPal thing the last half an hour, 40 minutes. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about the Christian fascists that were attacking pride parades all over this last weekend. We're going to talk about all the new information about the cowardly Uvalde police, Uvalde police, however you say that. The ones who hit out while the children were being massacred in the school and attacked the parents instead of going in there and stopping the shooter. Um, we're going to talk about just white supremacy and fascism becoming mainstream in the US and where this might go with the current situations. And we also got to talk about um, U.S. Border Patrol and the Supreme Court just ruled on all the restrictions for them, which aren't many. They could pretty much go into any house in the country they want without a warrant. And then we're gonna hopefully get on to Canadian gun control, and I think we can explain why it wouldn't work in the U.S., but maybe not. So that's what we're talking about today, or at least part of that. What's going on in Canada, Glenn?
No, same old idiocy, just at a different pace in different parts of the country. Uh, Governments continue to eliminate all COVID measures because, it's over. More people are dying now here than ever have, but it's over. So, you don't have to worry about it. No mask, no isolation when you're positive, no nothing, just whatever.
Yeah, I seen a tweet by some Democrat earlier today. It was basically like, "Thank you, Joe Biden, for ending white supremacy, ending COVID, beating this, best economy in the U.S. history." Just all this, like, what the hell? What world is this person living in? And y'all are doing the same thing. Your stupid government's a few steps behind our stupid government as far as their fascist agenda.
Same old.
So anyway, we got to get started for the billions upon billions of people that are listening. Um, yeah, like I said, we're doing the past weekend at the Pride festivities. A whole bunch of Christian fascists and neo Nazis united to attack gay and trans people. Some of them were stopped by police before they were able to cause trouble. Like the U-Haul moving truck full of 31 neo Nazis on their way to a Pride festival in Idaho. But in LA, you had the police attacking people along with the fascists and other places, I'm sure, too. They literally had police beat a gay person during Pride, and then they had other cops dancing on the back of the truck, some big float truck parade thing. So yeah, it's two sides. You got a cop beating somebody at a Pride festival, a gay person, and then you got cops dancing around celebrating Pride. But here's the thing: go
Well,
ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I mean, this is standard, it's basically we will abuse you, but yet at the same time, we will present a picture that says we celebrate you. It kind of sounds like domestic abuse.
Yeah, it's Stockholm syndrome. I just released a video. I
Yeah.
just released a video of these people getting pulled over for some minor BS. The cops coerced them, got them out the car, searched the whole car, cuffed them up, held them there for like 30 minutes, and they're like, thank you," afterwards, just thanking them profusely, thanking them for the brutality they inflicted on them. That's Stockholm syndrome. Um,
At the
yeah,
minimum.
but that's why.
Maybe they got
Oh, go.
some maybe they got some kind of kink, I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
that's why I didn't go to the March for Our Lives thing because it really upset me the last time I went. I think I mentioned it last time. It's just people thanking cops for their service. Thank you for keeping us safe. You're at an anti-gun rally and you're thanking the motherfuckers there with the guns. What sense does that make?
None. It's just a reverse Stan operation is all it is.
So yeah. Well, anyway, I've seen tons and tons of videos from various pride celebrations all over. all over the U.S. And yeah, you have these wackadoo Christians there with megaphones screaming about this and that. You have people following um, gay people who went around in a threatening manner, calling them groomers and screaming at them and getting all in their face. One guy was talking about cops, can't you just go in there and brutalize them like you used to in the good old days? It's really disgusting, man. These people need a somebody to other, and right now it's the gay people. It's still the immigrants, it's still black people, but it is now gay and trans people. They got this whole groomer thing. Not one of them's going after the Catholic Church. Not one of them's going after the Baptists, who have this is a institutional problem with them. Those organizations that many of these same people belong to or are affiliated with in some way or another. At the very least, they're the same religion. No, they're not going to go after their own. They're going to go after imaginary people that aren't like them. And in some cases, maybe people that are like them, but they don't want to admit it. I suspect. I think it was William filmed the
Well,
police. L.A. William. He had took a picture of this one Christian dude. He was like he hates gay people so much he shows up to every single gay event.
well, I mean, it's pretty much standard practice that to grift and raise money from dumb, scared people, it you basically can't be blaming the group that they're a part of to get them to contribute money. So, you just got to pick another group.
Yeah.
Just find a new them or them of the week or actually, this would be them of the month
Well,
since it's
I think
Pride.
there's a small group of grifters, uh, um, relatively speaking, but there's a lot of people who listen to them and follow that ideology. I mean, I truly think some of these people are really terrified. Like, these people are going to turn all our kids gay and groom them and all this and that. When all they have to do is go to church on Sunday and speak up, because that's where it's really happening. I don't know. I know some gay people, I know some trans people, and I'm pretty sure the last thing they seem to be worried about is other people's kids. You know, they're living their lives. They're working. They're doing what everybody else does with their lives.
Well, this is just the same old, same old. I mean, the only way this could have any hint of truth to it is if gay people just started, just popped up, because I mean, gay people have been around forever. So for it all of a sudden to be something that's happening is just the dumbest fucking comment you could ever come up with. But again, these are people with 15-second memory spans. So, whatever. Like I said, if you want free money, you have to motivate people to give it to you. And fear is one hell of a motivator.
I mean, according to the Bible, being gay is like one of the worst things. It's pretty bad. But it does say that you can like slaughter a village and take their young girls for your own sex slaves. I mean, that's part of the Bible. So maybe it's just the gay thing they don't like. I don't know what it is, man. It's just totally ridiculous. Like, go live your fucking life, do your fucking thing, mind your own business, let people live their lives. They're not bothering you, then who cares? Who cares what they do? Who cares if they build a giant altar to Satan with flames and, who cares? How does that affect you? Not that anyone's doing. I'm just going with what these people would think is so terrible. You know what I mean? It's just I don't get it. I don't get why they're in these people's business so much. I understand the grifters. It's like right wing radio. When you listen to it, every ad, every little thing, even Sebastian Gorka is talking about some miracle drug. Now he can get on his knees in church again. Everything is connecting it to religion, one specific religion. But yeah, they'll be talking to a congressperson. He was like, "Well, when I'm in church on Sunday, this and that," they all want to put that in. They all want to get in the Bible stuff because that's their base. That's how they control their base. And these people are sheep, like literally,
Absolutely.
literal stupid sheep. They don't know what their own book says. They don't know the horrors that are contained within that book. They get these little devotional books with the beautiful, nice parts of it, all kind of love, peace, and but they don't even do that because from the pulpit they're preaching hate, 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 hate with the political agenda, and somehow to them Sharia law is the problem. We don't want that, but you want your version of it. It's no different. It's you know what I mean? It's just the
Well,
yeah, the engine's no different. It's just the paint job. I guess is how it's stupid.
well, the problem with Sharia is that it's from a book that we don't like. That's all.
I,
That's the only
and
difference.
it's not in this country. They're not trying to push that. If they were, I'd be fighting that, just like I'm fighting these people. We don't want any religious law to govern us. It's, let people live their lives, do your little magic, voodoo, fairy tale stuff. Keep that to yourself. Go in your churches, do whatever you want. You got the right to do it, but don't push it on other people and don't push it on to political agendas. These politicians are catering to it. Look at what's that weird one that looks like Sarah Palin? Boebert. She praying Joe Biden is gonna die. She's praying to God to kill Joe Biden. And I hope that prayer gets answered. Lord knows I hope that prayer gets answered. And like I said on Twitter today, if that prayer gets answered, I'm gonna be on my knees praying for police every day.
But see, this is the issue, though. It's not that Booby Boebert said this because she's a devout Christian. She said it
Her
because
base?
that's the method. Yeah, that's the method to motivate people to give her money. That's all.
Yeah.
If there wasn't a dime in it, she'd pick something else to bullshit about. I mean, that's it. This is the one thing you have to understand. There is nothing that these people say that is motivated from actual things that they live in their lives. They just say it because it appeals to people that they want something from. That's it. Plain and
Yeah.
simple. It's a means to an end, and it's getting louder and uglier. But hey, what else is new, right? America, fuck yeah.
I'm really trying to
As
figure
far
out
as
how
the
to tweet tweet the show out. Is just not seeming to have any way to do that. So
use the share button,
I
copy the
got it.
link,
I
and
got
then
it.
you got to
Okay.
tweet it.
Yeah, make you go around the hard way.
That's changed. So it must be more of the great
It's
Twitter
different from
Spaces
it's different from last
improvement.
week, right? You used to just say share the show and click a big purple button.
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird. Why would they change that? Why
Oh,
they get you used to something and change it? Anyway,
oh no, it's an improvement. Trust
yeah.
us.
So anyway, in Idaho, like we mentioned before briefly, the cops pulled over a U-Haul truck filled with 31 neo-Nazis from Patriot Front, all geared up to go attack gay people at the Idaho Pride Festival. Um, there's a lot of problems with this. Well, the first one being that neo Nazis are going to attack gay people at a pride festival, obviously. But it's funny too. I mean, let me go through the story here. What happened was the police came. Somebody called the police and said there's all these something going on or something. The police pulled the truck over, pulled him out, arrested him for riot, intending to riot or some BS. So all these people are cheering, "Go police, go police." They're arresting the neo Nazis. It just, and not exactly like that, but it was a good thing because a lot of them got identified and people know who they are now because There's cameras there, and they got all their masks pulled off in front of the cameras so they could be identified, which blows my mind. Why are they wearing masks? That's a violation of their freedom. But beside that fact, isn't that what they scream all the time? No mask, no mask, and they're gonna go to a Pride festival. They all wear masks. So anyway, beside that, that was just silly. Now, since they've all been doxxed, basically, they're doxing the police, the Idaho police that arrested them. And I'm gonna be honest, I love it. I've said this many times. I love it when Nazis and cops go at it. The only thing that can happen is my enemies get hurt. Less enemies for us to have to deal with another day. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
beautiful. I wish they'd all kill each other, but I don't cheer the police on for arresting anybody, not even my enemies. I'm from a school of thought, like, I don't know, it'll sound messed up when I say this, but the way I was raised here in LA, if somebody do something, you really don't want them in jail. You want them on the streets where they can be got to. You know what I mean? The police are just another enemy you got to deal with. You try to stay away from them. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It just I don't care what the police do. I want to abolish the police. That U-Haul truck should have just been like lit up by some people in Idaho that were good anti-fascists that had some big guns. Then you don't have to ever deal with them again. No more neo-Nazis. There's 31 neo-Nazis that aren't going to harm anybody else ever. That's my mentality on the situation. But you got all these people, once again, rah rah police that are arresting neo Nazis. So I don't know. But it's getting to a point where these people are trying to harm people just for living their lives. Gay people don't do anything to nobody. Like I said, they're just like anyone else. They just live their lives. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this is the problem with these fucking fascists anyway. The last thing they can do is live their own lives. It's just
I don't know.
they're too worried about everyone else's lives. So I mean, it's the same old bullshit. I mean, just put people in the same class against each other. It's just divide and conquer. But the thing about people cheering for the cops arresting these idiots in their fashmobile is people are so shocked that it's actually happening. That's why they're like, holy fuck, the cops are arresting fascists. Yay! It's because there's already an established pattern that doesn't happen. Now, I think there's more to this than probably we're ever going to hear, because they've stuck to the line of it was a call from a concerned citizen. I don't think this is just any citizen that called this in, because the action that was taken is not normal in any way. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, that's been a little vacation spot for neo-Nazis for decades. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho is well known as being super white, super right-wing, super 19th century. So when I heard about this, I was actually a little surprised that there's actually a pride celebration in Coeur d'Alene. That in itself is progress from what I know and from what history shows of Coeur d'Alene. But the interesting thing about this is all the people from out of state that showed up there to cause shit. Just like Charlottesville, just like we see everywhere else. And this is one of the big things that has to be handled if there's ever going to be a stop to this shit. Because if they let these yahoos just travel around all over the country to any little scenario that they dream up to harm innocent people, I mean, where the fuck is the FBI? I remember being a kid and watching TV. Anything that crosses state lines that breaks a law. Oh, well, now it's the FBI. Well, what the fuck are they
Yeah.
doing? What the fuck are they doing? Why aren't they monitoring these people? But,
Yeah, crossing state lines with anything makes it a federal case generally.
yeah. So, I mean,
Um,
these people have weapons, they have warrants, they have all this
well,
shit.
here's the, I don't know, I can't really speak for gay people and I don't really know the whole situation. So it's just my what I see from watching what I watched on the outside of it. It seemed to me that there's a group of, just like any group, just like us, with all people, but within the gay community, there's a group of people that are warriors, and they were like, these people want to attack us. The birth of Pride came from rioting for rights. You know what I mean? So we're gonna stick to that, and we're gonna protect the people here from the cops because we don't want the cops here, and we're gonna bash the facts when they show up because they're coming here to bash us, and these people want to protect their community. But then I saw a couple videos of other gay people yelling at them like, "We're here to have a good time. Knock it off. The cops are cool." Stuff like that. And like I said, with any group, you have that dynamic. But it would just seem like if you're at an event that started off from riots to get people's human rights and protests and uprisings and everything else, then you would say, when I'm here, I'm going to protect the people. And instead of just, I'm going to have a good time and get drunk and dance around. I don't know. It's just, but see, I'm like that with anything. I mean, me, I'd be yelling at people, get your asses out to a protest or do something. And if you can't be at a protest, support it another way.
Well, that's the kumbaya crowd, and they exist in every protest movement. Yeah, it's a nice ideology, but there's no reality to it. I mean, you know, you can.
I mean, this is my thought on that. Yeah, shut up, let the cops come, let the everything happen, let the religious people say their stuff. We're here to dance and have a good time and celebrate. That's a love, like you said, that's a lovely. If that was the way it was, that would be beautiful. But it's not the
But
way it is. The cops
yep,
come and abuse people and hurt people.
yep.
And what if your lovely time gets stopped by a bunch of Nazis coming in doing something? I mean, that Pulse nightclub, that wasn't a Nazi, but it was a religious fanatic, I believe. I think in that case, it was just some other weird stuff like a Muslim dude that didn't want to be gay or something, but he was. I don't know. It was a weird situation on that thing. But anyway, he walked in and committed a heinous hate crime and slaughtered a bunch of people. You don't want that to happen. So the people you're talking crap about, let us have our fun, stop messing with the police, stop messing with this, stop doing this and that. If this jumps off, they're the ones that are going to see it first and let you know and alert people and save lives and maybe protect people. It's just, I don't like that division in any group. But you think at an event like that came from protest, came from struggle, came from all kinds of you know, violence against you, your group, you'd be more on the side of the people that's out there trying to defend you and be there for the community. But like you said, yeah, like you said, there's division in every group.
Well,
That's
I
why
mean,
Anonymous is dead.
well, I mean, what you're asking about there is reasonable to me, of course, without a doubt. But the issue there is you are making an assumption that people that show up to celebrate for whatever reason are going to have a clue about the history of what's happening. And as we know, research is not the strong point of most people.
I'm not gay. I know about the Stonewall riots and all that. I mean,
Yeah, but
you would
there are
think you know
gay
your
people
culture.
that don't even know because what? When? Oh, I don't know anything about that. They're just people that have no regard for history or the line, the progression, how hard it's been, what is a fight, what a battle it's been for people of alternate orientation to be treated like human beings. They show up now and they think, well, this is terrible. This is how it's been. It's never been worse than this because I just showed up. So the history starts now because that's when it applies to me. This is the problem with just about every protest group. Everybody thinks it's been set up to service them. Oh, I'm here. Yeah, let's protest.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you about last weekend. I was gonna go down there and watch the cops, so maybe other people didn't have to. You know me, I'll put all their attention on me and let the gay people have fun. Um, but I I looked at it was in Hollywood. I didn't know where it was or anything. I looked for it basically last minute, and William was out there with the camera on the police. I was like, oh, it's handled. But yeah, Sunday, man, I had a really cool experience. This is a tangent. I'm not gonna give names or places or anything, but like I was asked to go out to a area, so I showed up, and yeah, these cats. There was a bunch of cats out there, and there was this big encampment, not huge, but pretty big, and they were giving out Narcan and food and water and everything, like everything people need. They were giving it out to people over there, so I showed up to try to help out and see if they needed anything. But it was just awesome. Like a small group of people can, and this is why I'm saying this, because we all have small groups of people in our areas. They got together, got organized. I'm bad at organization, but that's why you need people to be good at different things. But they got together, man. They had like, I don't know, it was a lot of meals of food all packaged up. They had forks, knives, they had water bottles, tons of, I mean, they had excess stuff when they left. They had tents for people. They had Narcan for people. They had weed for people. They had pretty much hygiene kits, clothing, blankets, like pretty much anything somebody need if you're living on the streets. But then they went further. They were talking to the people, and they were making sure that, like, oh, you got a doctor's appointment. You don't have no way to get there. We're going to get someone to pick you up and take you. You have to be at court at this time. Because see, what happens is the I think it's 4118 or whatever. So the police come through and they ticket everybody. Then they ticket them again, and they could take them to jail because they're trying to make them move. Like that's the thing, make people disappear, especially during an election season.
Yeah.
When elections come, they want to get all the main streets cleared off of people so they can say, look, especially the ones that are in office now, I've cleaned up the streets. Look at this. Vote for me.
Yep.
But no, I mean, it's just nice to see people doing stuff like that. And it happens all over. But I'm just saying it because maybe it'll inspire some other people, just whatever. Even if you just take some water out to the neighborhood encampments around you and hand it out, cold water, anything, whatever you can do, do it. It's a rough summer. It's really rough times. There's a recession. And the recession doesn't just hurt people that have money and jobs, it hurts people that are living on the street, whether they have a job or not, because everything costs more. So the little crap they could have got before, they can get even less, if anything, now. So, try to help out. Everybody's struggling, but we gotta help each other, and every way we can. We gotta build communities. And that's what they were doing out there. That's the thing. These people was building a community where these cats that forced to live in the streets in tents know, oh, they got my back on this, they got my back on that. And when you're organized like that and you have enough people that can do stuff and take care of people, it's real beneficial. Because a lot of times, even around here, people disappear. I don't know where they go, and I start getting worried. And then sometimes you run into them again and be like, "Oh man, they moved me way over here or something." You be like, "Oh, okay." And then other times you just don't see them no more. You don't know what happened to them, and you gotta wonder and wonder because these are people you talk to a lot and see every day, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. You make people live like that when there's enough vacant properties you can put all of them in a house of their own in this country. But that's not going to happen. You could build apartments for them, but you won't do that. You can give them UBIs, but you won't do that. So basically, they do nothing except give them an option to go to some crappy shit where they're monitored, treated like criminals, or and have to be by themselves, or they can wait years to get something where they get an apartment. You know, it's just, and then they could lose it. Let people survive, man. It's terrible. People are dying their whole lives, spending 15, 20 years living in tents. Somebody was on YouTube saying, I know this is a huge tangent, I'm sorry, man, but I know somebody on my YouTube was saying, oh, these people are leeches off our tax dollars. They should go out to the forest or desert and let our kids walk on the streets we pay for. And I'm like, you assume homeless people don't pay taxes, but they do. You assume they don't work. A lot of them do. Why are the streets more yours than theirs? It doesn't make sense. And why do you want to banish them out to nowhere? How do they get
Well,
food and water if they're in the desert? The fuck out
well,
of here, man. These people are sick.
well, any comments like that are just based completely on fucking stupidity anyway. I mean, you want to talk about who's leeching the system? Look at the people at the fucking top. So, whatever. I mean, you want to talk about Stockholm syndrome? Fuck. These people that worship billionaires, they're
And
the biggest.
politicians and political parties. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the biggest idiots out there. Like, get a fucking grip. Take a look around. But, whatever. I mean, it's the same old. It's the same old thing. It's just like George Carlin. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to
Believe.
believe it.
Yeah.
It's not the American task or the American endeavor. It's the American dream because it does not fucking exist. But,
Yeah, if it did, it would be the American reality.
yeah, I mean, you
People
can't
just
really
be
do
living it.
any. You can't really do anything about things that are propagated over generations. I mean, it's the only way people change their mind about shit like that is when it's them who gets crushed by the system. That's the only way. It can even be their relatives, it can even be their neighbor. They still think it can't happen to them. And, I don't know what you do about that. I really don't. I mean, there are
I'm sorry, I
people,
was typing. Go ahead.
well, there were people that have somehow managed to stay employed at a minimum during this whole pandemic. And because they have not been affected directly per se, they just say, yeah, well, I don't see any difference because their world involves their mirror and not much else. So, these are the prime people for these hate campaigns and regression campaigns because they haven't paid any price compared to, so many other people. And again, this is the me first bullshit. It's just like you see surveys all the time. Are things getting better or worse in the world? Oh, well, at least 2/3 of the people say things are getting worse. This is fucked. And then the same survey will say, okay, for your personal situation, do you see things getting better or worse? Oh, they're going to get better, without a doubt. This is just
Yeah,
ridiculous. It makes no fucking sense. But, everybody thinks that they are above the trend. And you're not. You're fucking nobody. You're going to get eaten up just like everybody else. It's just a matter of time. So keep cheering for it. It'll come.
yeah. I
Willful
don't know.
ignorance.
Yeah, Twitter, if you could hear me, give me a desktop app for this dang thing.
No kidding, man.
I keep losing the show on my phone. Oh yeah, but no, definitely, definitely. That's just how it works. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. People gotta get their shit together for real. Everybody. So yeah, I guess we're gonna move on to, since we talked about pigs at Pride, we can talk about pigs in general, right? Or
Sure.
pigs. So
Being
yeah,
pigs.
yeah. Well, every week we get more information about police response to the shooting in Uvalde. Now the head cop says he didn't know he was in charge and he left all his radios behind in his car so he would be able to get in there faster and save the kids. It took him what, 70 minutes to get in there? 74 minutes or something.
I just can't even understand this line of reasoning. This is just the dumbest fucking
He
thing you
said,
could possibly say.
well, here's the thing. He said he took the radios off so he can get in there faster because one radio had a little whip antenna and the other one had a cord. And he didn't want to have to deal with those bulky things bumping his elbow while he's running. That's literally what he said. Imagine how long it would have took if he had his radios. It would have been like 3 hours before he got there. So good thing he took them off. But then you got the chief of police in Uvalde saying the cops' actions were totally legit, 100%. He's defending them. So, well, children are in there being murdered, standing out in riot gear, tasing and beating and cuffing parents that are trying to get to their kids is the way to go, right? For over an hour.
This is the most simple demonstration of circle the wagons. This is just
And and here's, oh,
utter.
sorry, what?
This is utter incompetence being stated over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what you say to these people. They're never going to admit that they completely fucked up. That's obvious by now. So, like I've said before, keep talking. Keep talking, you stupid fucks.
Did you
Because
hear?
this stuff is all going to be documented and recorded. And like I said, there should be a civil class action suit from the parents, and this town should be bankrupted.
Did you hear why they're not going to release the body cam footage of the cops that day?
Well, their reason is bullshit, but we know
But
why.
do you know what the reason was they gave though?
What?
The chief of police said, whoever it was, I don't know, some official said the reason we can't release the body cam footage from the massacre is because it will give future terrorists or shooters insight into how police work during this and the weaknesses within their training or something. So we can't ever release it to you. Basically, all you'd see is parents getting attacked. That's why they don't want to show it. Not to mention probably some of the things they were saying on there, like I ain't going in there. I don't know what they said, but you know what I mean? You can imagine what was said on the body cams because it picks up when they're talking and stuff.
Well, I don't think anything taken outside the school is what they're concerned about. They can say whatever they want about that, but there's enough third party pieces of evidence from outside the school to prove conclusively what they were
But
doing.
I can't. I'm just imagine what's on those body cams. They don't want you to see.
What's
Even just
inside the
cops.
school, that's what.
I don't think that's it. I think that this is the whole thing. I don't think people want to see the aftermath. They want to see what the pigs was doing during the massacre. They weren't inside the school when the shooting was going on.
No, the issue is they want to make sure that what the cops saw when they actually got in the classroom is never revealed. That's
Oh,
the whole purpose.
well, then why wouldn't they release the other parts of the cops fighting the parents outside?
Because it's all or nothing with the cops.
I mean, when they murder a person, they can get down to the one picture where their knife looks like a gun in their hand,
Yeah, well, that's when it works for them. There's
and they
nothing
and they
here that
and they
they
don't
can
take
work
it,
with.
and they don't take that from the body camera because that would be obvious. You see, it's a knife. They take it from some building behind the guy, and
Yeah,
it's all blurry. They take one blurry still and be like, "Look, this could have been misconstrued as a knife." They find a one angle, a one frame of a guy holding a knife out 20 feet away from a cop. Come on, dude. You telling me that cop couldn't see it was a knife in his hand? You let him wiggle that thing around for half an hour before you realize that could be a gun disguised as a knife? No, get out of here.
but that explains it all right there. The only thing they ever release is things that they think they can manipulate to serve their story. So this just tells you that there's absolutely nothing that they can use that supports them. So we'll just ban everything. No news is good news.
Yeah, yeah, that's real. But yeah, I don't know. Cops are way too powerful in this country, and they don't do anything for us. It's almost like if you didn't know any better, you think they were just there to protect corporate interest and property, and they don't really care about us at all. We're just insurgents to them.
You
But
mean
nah,
like
that
they were originally formed to do? Yeah, that would be it.
to the untrained eye. But
Well,
now,
like,
oh, go ahead.
no, again, it's this history thing. Just like you said, there are these people that show up to pride events that have no idea how hard it was for this to even be a thing. It's the same thing with cops. Like, people just have no fucking idea how and why there are police to begin with. So, I mean, it's just like in Canada, RCMP, regressive, colonial, mendacious police. That's what it stands for.
Man, that's very Canadian.
Eh?
Oh man, the Mackenzie-ness of it all. The
This thing with Uvalde and, just putting up this wall of no, never mind. I mean, it doesn't have to be this way, especially in a place like Texas, where people elect everything. I mean, Christ, they elect their fucking librarians down there. So, I mean, make a decision. Either all these fucking idiots get the boot off the public tit, or maybe more radical action is required. But I mean, this is the other thing that blows my mind about a lot of the United States. There are, in a lot of places, elections for local public office every 2 years. And this shit happens over and over and over, but yet there's no changeover. These people aren't fucking thrown out, hardly ever. So, you know, I don't get it.
man, it's ridiculous. It's just stupid. I'm sorry, I was laughing because I just came across that video I sent you earlier. The homies watching the police chase. Oh my God. So yeah, but now speaking of police, still federal police, border patrol, and immigration customs enforcement or ICE can now go into any home, any building without a warrant as long as it's within 100 miles from a border or airport. I mean, that pretty much covers most of the places there's homes in the United States, don't you think?
There's only one word to describe any sort of regulation or law like this, and it starts with an F and it ends with an
Yep.
M.
Yeah,
And
it's full fascism. And this and
total.
this this is the thing. This was the Supreme Court that did this. And you got these Democrats like, oh, we need to take people's guns because, when Border Patrol run up in their house with no warrant, they're going to shoot at them. I'm kind of nervous about all this.
Well, again,
I mean,
because
they should be shot at. If somebody come up in your house without a warrant, that's a violation of Fourth Amendment.
absolutely. And I mean, this is the thing. They keep bitching about this stand your ground, etc., etc. The United States is such an after the fact reactionary environment. This is what needs to happen. A whole ICE team needs to get gunned down on a front porch somewhere.
You know what
That's
the
what
problem
needs to
is?
happen.
They'll just make martyrs out of them and talk about the terrible person who did it and say, like, he was arrested for marijuana charges 10 times. And they'll do some crap like that, man.
That's fine. They're going to present the public story any way they want anyway. But the bottom line is these fucking ICE agents need to understand that there are consequences to their actions.
Yeah,
And
but you gotta,
if they start getting gunned down, they're going to be a little more reluctant about this no knock warrant bullshit.
or they'll just go in like full military machine guns blazing.
Well, they can't win that battle either.
The
I
more
mean, this
fascists they
is
get, they can because they control the narrative. Man, there's a group of people. This is the problem. There's one group of people, and they support ICE 1,000%. You have to get the quote unquote illegals out of this country. You know what I mean? You got that group. Then you got the other group that only cares about immigration and concentration camps if the other party is in power. And they're like, look at that racist, look what they're doing. Then when their party's in power, they're like, let's just under the rug for right now until the next guy, one of their guys takes over. Then we'll worry about it again. We'll make a big stink over it. So you got two parties that fully support this, and then you got the media. Just like these people, these brave men were keeping people safe when this insane, deranged, murderous foreigner shot at one. You know what I mean? They're gonna come with that kind of story, and the one base is gonna be like, "Wow, these are heroes," and then they're gonna get more funding and more military gear, so it doesn't happen again. I just think it's going the wrong. It's got to happen like all the time, or something's got to give. You can't keep making these repressive laws. I mean, they want to take this country back to its roots for sure, right? Where there was genocide and slavery. So I don't
um,
know. It's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be bad if they start really pushing these things, because that's like the Patriot Act. Oh, they're not. They slowly, gradually weeded all these terrible things in and used that to do it.
well,
And
this
both
is the other
parties,
thing.
both parties agreed on that. That was a bipartisan bill. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, as we've discussed before, it doesn't matter which side of the single coin makes these repressive laws. The bottom line is when things change again and the other fuckers get in, none of this stuff is ever taken out. It's all used. The power just keeps amassing. The pile gets higher of the ways the state can fuck with you. It doesn't matter who's in opposition and says this is no good. Once they have the keys, things change. Hey, we can use this
Oh,
now.
okay, like a year ago or something, maybe 8 months or a year ago, a little longer, a little shorter. What did we talk about? We talked about how Trump's wall was still being built by Biden. So there was just an article that came out last week. I saw it, and it's still happening.
Yep.
The wall's still getting built. Where are these Democrats now screaming about tear down the wall, tear down? Now they're just sweeping under the rug. But when a Republican comes in, like, look, they're building Trump's wall. You see how they do it?
Yep.
And the Republicans are like, they're like, Biden's terrible. They're just doing the same thing. He hasn't really changed anything. He just changed to a face that doesn't look like a total clown. Just looks like an old geezer. Sorry if that was ageist. I was just directing it toward Biden. Um,
No, but that's the reality. It's all about narrative, and what is the point of the narrative? At the end of the day, at the end of the line, it all comes down to money. And the
like,
people who
why aren't
are,
the Democrats chanting "tear down the wall"? Why isn't AOC crying in front of prisons with children in them or concentration camps or whatever you want to call them? I just don't get it. They just, oh, our guys are doing it now. It's good. They're just such scum, and I'm talking about the voters too. They switch up. Soon as a Republican gets in office, they're gonna be mad about it again. Look at these racists. Look what they're doing. Biden's an admitted white supremacist. The dude said he missed the good old days when you can go out to friendly lunches with segregationists. He's written and co-authored some of the most racist bills in history. Get out of here when he's not a racist.
yeah, well,
Sheesh.
again, if we're talking about Biden, there's only one name that I'll ever say, and I believe it says enough: Anita Hill.
Anita, yep.
So I mean, there you go. I mean, everybody's talking about Clarence Thomas should be kicked off the court and his wife should be in jail. Well, who can you thank more than anybody else that Clarence Thomas is on the Supreme Court? Joe Biden.
Yep. They're all together in this. They're against us. It's like
Well,
George Carlin said, it's one big party and you ain't, what did he say? It's one big something and you ain't in it.
it's a club,
Yeah, it's one big club and you ain't in it. That's what he said.
and you're not gonna be in it.
Yeah, there it is. Um, but yeah, that's scary stuff though, that, now federal cops could go up in any house, anytime, for any reason without a warrant. And it's not just going to start like every kicking indoors. I mean, they already are doing it basically, but I mean, as far as on a mass scale, no, they're just going to keep using it. And then when they use it and they come up on some big bust of something illegal, that's when they'll say, look, it works. We got all this off the streets from a cartel or something.
Yep.
And you won't hear about it for a while. And they'll still be doing it just to take families, people, just to go in and snatch somebody's family member and deport them or lock them in a cage.
Well, the issue is, again, I mean, especially in Los Angeles, I mean, you look at the history with how coke and then crack became epidemics on the street. This is just another way for when the CIA no longer wishes to have a relationship with a certain partner organization, here's a way to get them completely wiped out without warning with this ICE bullshit.
Yeah.
So
But it's
again,
scary.
everything is about power of the state and perpetuating power of the state. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of laws like this. They pass it, there's a shitstorm, they say everybody relax, and then everybody forgets about it. And they don't use it for who knows how long. And then when they pull it out of the bag and use it, people are like, "Oh I remember that." It's just like in 2015 14 in Canada. There's a federal law passed that put a minimum sentence on a charge of wearing a mask while at a protest. And it's
Yeah.
never been used, but it's still on the books.
You know, they had a bunch of those laws start passing in the United States here in different areas. Anti-mask laws, like you can't wear a mask in public to stop people at protests from wearing masks. And then as soon as COVID hit, that's like
Yeah.
when I don't have that account anymore, but on one of my old accounts, I was like, how would I listed the the places that were trying to pass those laws currently, and I was like, how are those anti-mask laws working out for you? But see, that's the thing.
Well, that's just it. It's contradictory, and it's meant to help the state when they need it. I mean, it's really not all that different from the way fucking Twitter works. Terms
Yeah.
of service. Yeah, well, what the terms of service means is we decide if you stay or go on our own criteria. There's nothing that is written down. If we decide something, we decide something. Fuck you. Too bad. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, Twitter take you down for stuff you doesn't
Terms of
even
service
matter.
on Twitter means whatever we want it to mean when
When we
we
want
want
it,
it to
yeah.
mean it. That's it. There's nothing concrete.
No, man, they're all
So,
like that.
they're just
Twitter's like that.
creating more avenues. It's like, oh, if we arrest them on this law, that is unconstitutional. But if we use this one, we get around that amendment and we can claim this. They're just creating more methods to fuck with the population. And for the most part, they get away with it. I mean, it's just like if you are claim bankruptcy or something, there used to be things that could not be touched. There was a way that you could probably scrape by with the money you're allowed to keep, blah, blah, blah. But over time, as the greed gets more acceptable in the mainstream, a lot of those protections have been taken away. I mean, how is it that if you have student debt, it can never be erased by a bankruptcy? What kind of fucking bullshit is that? When that is probably the absolute reason that so many people are bankrupt. Or in the US, medical debt.
Yeah.
I mean, the system ain't there to help. Well, it is, but not you. It's to
Yeah.
help the people who hold the tab,
Yeah.
not the people who pay the tab.
But yeah,
But,
I don't know
hey,
that these people,
democracy in action.
yeah,
Okay.
these people don't have our best interest.
I can see you're talking, but I don't hear you. You must be muted. Oh, now you're muted.
No, you can't hear me?
And now I don't hear you again.
Oh, wow. That sucks. I hope when the audio comes out.
No, I
Can you
don't
hear
hear
me
you,
now?
man.
I don't know if the people online can hear me, though.
Not hearing you.
Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Wow.
Hello?
Fucking spaces.
You hear me now?
I heard about a quarter second.
You hear me now? Oh, no. Hang on.
What the fuck?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, starting
I
to come
switched the
through.
cable out. Maybe that did something.
No,
Oh,
you're
I
gone
guess
again.
not.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I got.
No, it's fading out
It's
again.
probably just the connection. Can you can't read what I say? I can read what you say.
Well, now I can hear you, but it's very, very low.
Uh, is that any better?
No, now I don't hear
Oh
you at
wow.
all again.
I don't know, Glenn.
I
Oh,
heard
okay.
that,
Well, let's keep going then.
but it's very low volume, I'll tell you that.
Okay. But if you could hear me, just turn it up then a little, I guess. Um, where were we at? We were talking about the federal the ICE being able to raid homes all over. So yeah, that's just it's gonna slowly creep up and get worse and worse and worse. And neither party you can vote until you're blue or red in the face, and it's not gonna make a difference. We gotta hit the streets in big numbers, but people, I don't know. That's kind of what Can you hear me still, Glenn? Okay, that's kind of what
Yep.
the other topic we're gonna talk about. We could blend these two. So with white supremacy and fascism becoming more and more mainstream, we have a pandemic that, regardless of what the rulers say, is still happening. And then we have a major recession in the US. What we've said before, what will it take to make to pop shit off is when people are just when everything's so bad it's affecting everybody. That's when everything's gonna pop off. And I think it's getting pretty bad now. I'm just wondering, what do you think? Do you think we're getting close to something big popping off, or do you think it's just gonna just keep on slowly moving forward into more fascism, and the people keep accepting it and accepting it? Like wearing a mask, these assholes go around. I can't. You're taking away my freedom. I mean, man, but you was cool with taking away my freedom to wear a mask if I wanted just before, like we were saying. If I want to protest with a mask on to hide my face from cameras, then that should be my right too. It's just, these people are stupid. So you got a bunch of stupid people
Well,
in the climate that's happening right now. I don't know. What do you think? Sorry.
well, this is the nature of authoritarianism. They tell you what's an infringement and what's not. There's no more free will on interpreting your own rights. You're being told what your rights are, and that in itself is a violation of your rights to a certain extent. But is it going to just keep incrementally going? If they can, yeah, I'm sure that's what they would prefer. The silent creep is always preferable to the overwhelming sudden action. But I mean, it's the state. They're prepared to do both. That's their gig. That's what they do. But as far as something happening, as far as this corporate greed, which is being
No,
sold as
no, I
inflation,
mean something
it's
happening like an uprising because it gets so bad. How far does it
well,
have to go before people hit the streets and numbers ready to fight? That's my question. Sorry if I didn't state it right.
well, I think history shows that it's going to go quite a bit further yet before there's any sort of complete breakdown. I mean, if you want to look at history, you look back to Weimar Germany between the wars. I mean, you hear stuff, you see pictures of people taking wheelbarrows of Deutschmarks to buy food because the inflation was just so out of control and the money was basically worthless. So, people put up with that for a lot longer than you would have expected because they just didn't know what else to do. And I think it's basically the same mentality in countries today. I mean, they've tried this thing with sanctions on countries they don't like, where stuff has gone up 400, 500, 1,000% in a matter of weeks. Some of those countries have breakdowns. Some of them don't. So I don't think there's any way to really predict. The only thing you can maybe predict is the rate that they keep turning up the heat. But, you know, is there a way to predict the one thing that's going to cause the next big breakdown? No, I don't think so. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could get a lot worse. It can always get a lot worse. Um, which is really, really, really bad in some situations and for some people. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to affect enough people where they're like, nah, as a collective whole, when you get, millions upon millions upon millions of people out in the streets. The problem is then you're going to have people trying to grab and struggle for themselves when people need to be uniting and, rallying up against the enemy.
Well, that's always happened. That's human nature. The only way to combat that is to not encourage it. And the absolute opposite to that is happening and has been happening for a long time now. I mean, apparently, Western society is all about how you do. That's all that matters. Personal
Yeah.
fulfillment is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, a lot of groups could use that to their advantage too and move within it, I guess, to attack the system and hopefully bring it down, or
yeah, but
at least hurt it really bad.
yeah, but if that means individuals acting on their own against the system, they're not going to win. We know that.
No, you need groups. You need big groups,
Exactly.
massive. You need the masses. You need millions of people out there, man.
Strength in numbers.
Like they just had all the world leaders here in LA. What if everyone in California, some of the neighboring cities just showed up? Like a million people flooding the streets. They're not getting in or out.
Yeah.
Now let's make some demands to these cats. Let's tell them what's up. What is student debt? I don't know because it doesn't exist. What is health? What is a healthcare premium? I don't know. That doesn't exist. We pay the taxes here. We're telling you how we're going to spend our money. You know, what are all these prisons doing in our city? We don't want them here. Get them out. Jails and prisons for poor people. We could just solve all the problems by mass numbers. I mean, ridiculous numbers. 50,000 people can shut a lot of streets in downtown and the whole city shuts down. Imagine what a million people or even a couple 100,000 people could do. The city
Well,
wouldn't move. Nothing would move if they just stayed out there until you meet our demands. Everyone's going to have some equal rights and justice around here from now on. We don't care about you. You can sit in there and starve. You can hide out, but you ain't leaving. We'll rush the helicopters if they come. You're not getting out of here. None of y'all. I mean, it's really that simple, but it's that difficult because getting all them people out there to risk a whole lot. And see, there's power in numbers too. The more people out there, the less people are really at risk. That's
well, I
my
mean,
view on it.
there are examples of this. I mean, all you really have to, I understand this is a stretch for Americans who have, the world doesn't exist outside their borders, but look at a place like France. Look at the protests in Paris. They do get those kind of numbers. And they do dance with the fucking cops and they tell them to go fuck themselves. And then they do get some sort of little rollback or, whatever. I
They
mean,
toss them a bone.
yeah, but at least they don't get nothing, because you look in the West, in North America, look back to Seattle, the G20. That was a huge event that is still talked about because it was such a show of force from those opposed to quote unquote globalism. You look at the G20 in Toronto, the largest mass arrests in Canadian history. Those arrests went through the courts in Canada for a fucking decade. And just 98% of the people arrested that day all got off. So, I mean, it depends where you are, and it depends how much infrastructure is in place waiting to pounce. And I could imagine in Los Angeles, with the amount of state force that could be available under the right circumstances, they may not have shown anything, but I bet they were pretty ready in case something happened.
Yeah.
Now, what would the blowback be if that happened? Who knows? You can't predict shit like that until it happens. So, I mean, everything that keeps happening is one more little straw on the camel's back. So, I don't know. I don't know how to predict that sort of thing. All I know is it takes too much. That's the easiest way to describe it. There's a lot of shit you say, well, why hasn't this already happened? I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Pacification, misdirection, bait and switch, whataboutism, both sides fucking horse shit, who knows? But whatever they're doing in different levels in different places, for the most part, it's holding. And, it seems we end up at the same point too frequently. What is it going to take? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I know it's gonna have to get worse than this, but it's just like I don't know. It's to the point of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
A lot of people are suffering, and more people are about to start really suffering. And those that are suffering now are about to start suffering worse. And we're the ones that pay the taxes. That's our money. Just don't seem right, man. That's why they keep everybody, I don't know. They keep everybody in these little groups and separate the groups as many times as they can. Every
Yep.
which kind of group.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but so Canada, let's just try to wrap it up with this one. Canada just passed a major gun control bill, but I was telling you
Another
that
one.
another one, but I was just telling you the U.S. and Canada are different, so I'm not sure something like that would work here. I don't think it might not be wanted here. I don't know because I mean we got federal agents that can come in our houses now.
Oh, don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Under the right conditions, federal officers can enter your house in Canada as well. So, I mean, it's not something that the U.S. is the runaway fascist leader in the Western world, and not by any stretch. It's just the willingness and the conditions that they deem it permissible that are
and it's
different.
and it's going to affect immigrants the most at first. You see
Well,
what I'm
always.
saying?
Well, always.
So
They
you're
don't
gonna have
vote. Nobody cares.
no, some of them do. They could be citizens. They're just immigrants.
But they're
But
not
but
enough.
but my point is the mainstream media, most of it isn't gonna pick it up. Like ICE is just going up in people's homes.
No,
You know,
no, there
but
is no fascism without a compliant mass communications. I mean, that's the bottom line. If mass communications are not pushing the agenda, it just doesn't take hold. Like there's no fascism without the press. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not a
Now,
pro gun. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Oh, I'm not a pro gun person, but I believe that at least here where I'm at, we need them. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
Um, and depending on what happens, we might need a lot of them and really big ones. It's just I don't know. It just seems like just if they try to ban too much stuff, you're powerless. Because I don't think ICE agents kicking in a door are gonna have small clips or just revolvers or just they're gonna have some pretty decent stuff at least to back up the pistols they got. I mean, California laws, I don't like the gun laws here. You legally you can't defend yourself out here. I mean, I guess you can if you're in a business or that you own or your home, then you'll have a chance to be able to fight it in court. But yeah, like you can't if you have a gun in a car, it's got to be unloaded, and the ammo can't be in the clip, and it has to be separated. It has to be locked in a trunk or a box or something. You know what I mean? It's got to be like impossible to get to in time if you need it. It just seems like, and we know why the laws here are like that. We've talked about it before. If you don't know, look up the Mulford Act. It's a racist act in 1967. But it's like it leads people to be like, dang, so I could either worry about losing my life or losing my freedom. I guess I'll worry about losing my freedom. A lot of people say that, right? Like I'd
Well,
rather the pigs to catch me with the gun than somebody random robber murderer to catch me without it.
well, there you go. I mean, you ask if what happens in Canada is possible in the United States, and the answer is no. It's simply not. In Canada, there is no right that says you can have a gun. That right does not exist in
Oh, I got
Canada.
you.
It is like, first of all, the Second Amendment in the United States is being interpreted in a way it was never meant to. The Second Amendment was written 30 years before the bullet was invented. So basically, the Second Amendment was written for muskets. That's it. And the well regulated part just doesn't seem to matter to all these so called constitutional absolutists. I mean, that is just the biggest bullshit description that there is. You want to talk about absolutism of the Constitution? That's what people would be buying, muskets. That takes, 60 to 90 seconds to load after every shot. And even then, when that's all there was, the founding fathers decided that no, even though that's all you have, it's still lethal force and there has to be some regulation on it. So, I mean, the entire culture, starting from these so called inherent rights, it's completely different. And that is the bottom line in Canada. You have no right to have a gun because you want one. It just doesn't exist. It never has.
Yeah, so that's a fundamental difference.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I just wanna put a disclaimer. We should put a little asterisk at the bottom. When you say founding fathers, you mean rapists, murderers, genocidal maniacs, child abusers, child rapists. It's all in white supremacists. It's all enshrined in founding fathers there. So
Exactly.
I didn't want anyone to get confused. Those are some terrible people.
Yeah, the guy's on your money for the most part. Yeah.
Talk about savages. Yeah. The guys on all the statues and stuff being paid tribute to. The guy who has his picture in the White House that raped children. Those
But I see
guys.
this is the basis why you can never have a direct comparison about the way laws work in Canada and the way they work in the United States. Because there are some things, jurisdictions in Canada that the federal government makes all the rules, and that's that. And with the crystal fascist Supreme Court in the United States now, they're doing their best to make sure that that doesn't exist in anything anymore in the United States. They're going to give states override on pretty much everything. So this is how you end up with basically the Balkans, Yugoslavia. This is how you end up with setting up another civil war. But, if this is the road that the U.S. wants to go down, well, there's lots of demonstrations what happens around the world, but, we're America, we're different. Okay, whatever. I mean, there's nothing in Canada that allows a province to say, well, we're not enforcing all those gun laws here. We're just going to ignore them. You simply can't do that in Canada. It's just not possible. And our Supreme Court is never going to say it is. That's the other difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the process for selecting justices for our Supreme Court has most of it removed from politicians. There are recommendations that are given to the government of the day. You can pick from that list, not off the list. And suffice to say, in Canada, people like Kavanaugh and Barrett would never be on the fucking list.
Well, that's good news.
I mean,
Yeah.
the enabling to subvert your own system of government has been going on for a very long time.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Why don't they just have a election for the Supreme Court? Why do you get this lifetime appointed? You're a lifetime appointee. The people don't even get a choice in it. It's just, are you going to be a fascist or a super fascist? Like, basically.
Well, the other issue is, at one point in time in the United States, if you lied, flat out lied, in your interview for a Supreme Court seat, something would be done about it. But these days, nothing is. Because Barrett and Kavanaugh and Garland, all these people sat there before the committee and said that Roe v. Wade was settled. It's done. Now look what they're doing. So how the fuck can these people stay on the Supreme Court? But, there's nothing going to be done.
Well, in her own defense, didn't Amy Amy Barrett, whatever her name is, say, why don't they call her ACB? Anyway, didn't she say before she was in office that getting the Supreme Court is just a means to the end of bringing heaven on earth or something?
Well, that was a speech she gave at Notre Dame, which is when she was, I believe, a circuit court judge. And she was giving a speech to graduates of the law school. And she said, being a lawyer is merely a means to an end. And that end is creating the kingdom of God.
That's what it was. Yeah, you're way better
So,
at quoting.
so again, to go back to this greatest document in the world, the United States Constitution, you should be fucking, that's it. You're done. Leave. Because that's simply not supposed to happen. Period. You
Yeah,
say that out loud and you want to be a judge, beat it. That's being a constitutional absolutist. But yet, it just doesn't seem to matter when the chips are down.
yeah, yeah. It's
You,
I think I don't know. I think these religions are well, one specific religion is way too based on whatever. Some of these religions are way too powerful
they're
in
all too
politics.
powerful.
In politics, yeah. That's what happened. I thought of the main one, and I said, "Wait, another one, and another one, and then I was like, "Wait, yes, yeah, they are way too much political power." Because that's what I started thinking. Politicians go now from Los Angeles, and they go appeal to Scientology, as well as Catholics and Christians and everybody else. It's way out.
Well, in Canada right now, the elephant in the room that is being covered quite well by independent media, but doesn't exist according to corporate media, is a little gang called the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. And there are about 50,000 members around the world. And basically, it's similar to what the Mormons do, but it's on steroids. There are
Yeah,
3,500 businesses that belong to this church. Businesses that belong to a quote unquote church. And there is something called the Klondike Papers in Canada. And it is basically a couple people who have been inside the right wing system for decades, earning money, living well. And they've finally had enough. And they are coming out, and they've got all the receipts. And most of the equivalent Republicans in Canada are in it up to their armpits. So we'll see how long this bounces around until it finally breaks. Because this is proof with a capital P. And the thing that really got the top whistleblower, who calls himself a fixer for the Conservative parties for decades, the thing that got him to say enough's enough is when the Ottawa occupation was underway from the convoy fuck-ups, and the opposition leader kept saying that Prime Minister Trudeau should just go down there and meet with them. What's the problem? Why doesn't he want to talk to them? He should go meet the people. There was a $500,000 open contract on the life of our elected Prime Minister from the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. So people were wondering why Trudeau just disappeared during the convoy. Well, I think we fucking know now. So we have opposition politicians in Parliament imploring the Prime Minister to go down and meet the people when there is a contract out on him. But yet, gee, what a surprise, corporate press doesn't see this as news.
yeah,
So, we'll see how long this bounces around. It'll finally break through somewhere, somehow. But, I mean, this should be the number one thing that people are talking about in Canada. And is a fraction of the people even know about it, have even heard about it, because it's being blacklisted by the corporate media.
yeah. Oh man, it's a lot of problems, and they're all really easy to solve. If they wanted to solve them, they'd be solved. So that tells me they don't want to solve them.
Nope.
And this goes for pretty much every country around the world and every city. The people want to solve them. The people in charge don't benefit from solving them. So why bother? But yeah, I don't know what else. You got anything else?
No,
No. Man, that the YouTube channel is at 840 now. We got 160 more to go, and I can live stream.
right on.
That'll be good. Then I don't have to upload videos. They just there. I'm hoping I can live stream in 360. If not, it'll just be the 4K or whatever they allow me to live stream on. But anyway, so yeah, that's about it. I guess thank you, Glenn, and thank you to all the people listening and that will listen or whatever in the future. And I hope the audio is all right with this. And I'm going to end it now.
Alrighty.
All right.